Last Concola, too, I'm happy to speak on the motion with living wage and compliment the authors of same. And I better, Kate O'Chase, last Concola, I better declare that I am an employer myself. So I speak from that perspective as well, and just to declare that. I'm happy to speak on this motion this evening, and I want to salute Sinn Féin for bringing it forward. Some of the statistics mentioned in the motion are truly disturbing, and you couldn't say anything else. And I compliment them for their research. For example, according to Social Justice Ireland, 110,000 workers are living at risk of poverty across the state. And that's a shocking number. And I had your Taoiseach here last Wednesday in his budget speech standing up, and he quoting scripture from the Bible about how he looked after everybody. I mean, the budget was a non-event, a misnomer for a budget. And as Deputy Brune and others have said, there was very, very little in it for anyone. I normally say it's like snow in a ditch. The first bit of sunshine is gone, melted away, but the snow didn't even land for anybody. So it's so meagre, and the old age pensions got nothing. Many other groups as well got so little. For example, as I said, but I think that while we of course need to make every effort to improve the work and pay conditions of workers, that we do not take measures that indirectly make things worse. And that's very important as well. And that's what I acknowledge. I haven't got a copy of the Minister's speech, but I heard somewhere in my office. So we must be very careful that we don't undermine and make things more precarious than they are. We know from the ESRI study on the minimum wage last year that the increase in the minimum wage had a negative and statistically significant effect on the hours worked of minimum wage workers. So some and many very big employers are able to manipulate the hours and have zero-hour contracts and all that. So we have to ensure, and it's very hard to get legislation that encapsulate that. When you have people that want to be devious and abuse workers, they will. This was primarily driven by the large hours effect for minimum workers on temporary contracts who experienced a weekly reduction of approximately 3.5 hours. So then, where do you go? Worse than what they were before. The intention, it was well-intentioned, and I'm sure this motion is well-intentioned, but we have to be very clever and very, very understanding of what way to phrase it and put it in legislation if we could. However, we also have conflicting data from Eurofound, which has shown that implementing a living wage could play a significant role in offsetting the rise of in-work poverty across the European Union. And that has to be looked at, because I'm tired of saying it here, that it must be viable and I won't say profitable, but it must pay a person to go to work. You know, Taoiseach was great to say he's supposed to get up early in the morning, but nobody being up early in the morning and out late at night if you're getting a pittance, and your work must be respected. And employers, and I mentioned employers myself, you must have respect for your employees, and it's a two-way street. They will have it in as well. But the way some multinationals and the way the conglomerates treat their workers, and we had so much noise recently about the farmers who were forced to go onto the picket lines to try and get a reasonable, respectful price for their products. And we were saying then they got all the threats of all the jobs. They were literally left off in their hundreds. And now they're limiting the fact they can't get some of them back. They can't get it back. I'm talking about the AIBP in Care. They can't get it back because they were paying them disgraceful money for very hard work and difficult work, and they got jobs elsewhere. And if they may hold on to them. And I made the point at the time, I'm making it again, that many small employers would hold on to their employees in good times and bad, because they value them, they respect them, and there's mutual respect, and they'd keep them if they could at all through short-term issues anyway, if it wasn't long-term. And that didn't happen with the moguls in the meat industry, not at all. They're using and abusing. And the grants that they've got, and the grants that they're getting, and then when the deal was made, so-called deal was made, the increase, the pittance of 8 cents per kilo, Board B were going to pay it, and it's coming out of the taxpayers' money. Not at all come from these people. So it's time that we tackle the elephants in the room here and tackle the big conglomerates, because they're taking over our country. And they have no respect for workers, no respect for legislators, no respect for anyone. So all they see is a greedy, greedy profit line on what company they can take over next, and what billions of profits they have in their bank account. As I said, the European Eurofund report makes it clear that for Ireland, the Irish living wage rate, based on a single adult with no dependents, is €11.90 per hour. That was in 2018. This is 25% higher than the statutory minimum wage at €9.55 per hour. The report also suggests that due to regional differentials in cost of living, the living wage rate for a single adult with no dependents in Dublin, where we are tonight, would be €14.45 per hour, while for a single adult with one child, this would climb to €17.15 respectively, 37% and 80% higher than the equivalent rates for those living in rural Ireland. Now, there's a double whammy there, because living in Dublin, the cost of living is much higher. Well, you have public service transport and everything else, but the cost of living and the housing crisis and God knows whatever else is just abnormal. And the government keep pumping in, and you too, Minister Breen, and why you can't encourage the IDA. I know they'll tell you it's difficult to get them to get foreign investment companies and others to invest in rural Ireland. They don't want to go to Limerick, as you know. They don't want to go to Cork. They don't want to go to Galway. They're all in here. And it's a time bomb waiting to explode. They have no houses. You can shake your head all you like. I met the head of the IDA in New York, and he told me that himself. Can't get them to come down to the country because they want everything in Dublin. And that's what the market is. That's what they're driving. That's what you're driving. So as I said, the motion before us, however, places the wage at $12.30, and I think that is considerably considerably complexity remains on this issue. Very complex issue, not simple. The last thing we want to make the situation worse and not better for workers and indeed employees and employers. As I said, in that the employees who are treated well respond and respect well and go that extra mile, and so does the employer. But as I said, the race to the bottom with the big moguls, whether it be in the meat industry, whether it be in the supermarket industry, whether it be now in our so valued industry of Coolmore Equine. I salute their prowess, but the way they treat their workers, loads of pay they give them, in all the billions they make profit, and they want to own the county and own the country with 28,000 acres and growing, and your party supporting them, as did my former colleagues here in Fianna Fáil, and just grab up the whole thing. The landlords are back in place again, and the hell of the Connacht, and the same applies, because any small family farm can't compete with them, and can't buy a bit of land, and can't in case, and then they throw money here and there to clubs, GA clubs and soccer clubs and rugby clubs, and we appreciate that. They buy silence, and we won't have schools, we won't have GA teams, soccer teams, rugby teams, we'll have nothing, because the flight from the land is just appalling. And in the olden days when we had the landlords and we had the big farmers, they looked after their workers, and they never saw them suffering. And these people own you. These companies own you. The meat people and everything, and they own you. And you don't do one little slip up, one thing you refuse to honour and obey, you're out the door. And that's what they care about, people. So this is very complex legislation. It's not going to be easy, but something is definitely needed. But we have to get a balance to keep small employers, keep them able to carry on to keep their workers and grow the economy.